Here we are. Another day in Sean's bunker. Uh, Camera's a little crooked. Do we care? Who even watches this show? I know my buddy Jesse, Midnight Crawler in Texas, watches it. Special shout out to Jesse for watching all these. If anything, you're there for you, buddy. Coffee mug. Danger After Dark. I've had this one for a long time. I believe this was a releasing company at one point. I always thought that was a cool coffee mug. Wish it glowed in the dark, but that's I think the stuff they make that with is actually pretty bad for you. Anyway, let's get on with it. Maybe I can adjust this just a tad. It's a little better. Boom. Okay. What did I watch? Casino. 1997? I'm going to say 96, 97. 2 hours, 59 minutes. Sharon Stone, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and I can't find the date, unfortunately. I think it was 97, though. So this copy is signed by Joe Bob Briggs. And I think he wrote one of the lines because I asked him to. It says, "It's a casino. Sometimes people win." And when he does say that line, Robert De Niro gets really pissed at him. He's a slots manager. He's not doing a really good job, and he ends up firing him. And then that causes, I can't remember that actor's name. Is it Sam Peckinpah? Anyway, that person's uncle in the movie comes and has a meeting with Robert De Niro to try to get Joe Bob Briggs's job back. And De Niro ain't having it. He's like, this guy is a fool. I'm not taking him. And that causes that gentleman to look him up and seeing if he actually even has a license. And it kind of snowballs a whole big thing. So Joe Bob, while he had a small part, it really was an important part. And it was funny seeing him in this movie. This B movie, actor and what would you describe Joe Bob as? He's a kind of a horror host, I guess. To see him in Casino is really kind of an odd place, but he fit the bill. They wanted someone that was had a little twang in their voice, a tall gentleman, wore cowboy boots. I mean, he was the guy, best guy for the role. So I know we're just kind of going off on a Joe Bob Briggs tangent at Casino. I mean, the movie itself is great. If you've never seen it, not that Scorsese ever disappoints. I don't think I've seen anything by Martin Scorsese that I didn't like. I mean, his weird stuff is great. This one is no different. This is probably, if you like Goodfellas, this is the next best thing. I like Goodfellas better, but this is up there with it. And I think my favorite Sharon Stone movie. I think this is one of her best performances. And I actually watch it with the commentary, and she talks on it and tells how great of a director Martin Scorsese was. At one point, she's in a phone booth, and she's calling De Niro, trying to come back home because she left him and took a bunch of money. And she said she was so out of it in that scene that she asked Martin Scorsese to sit by her feet at the phone booth to kind of comfort her, and he did it, And then she, for some reason, she said it helped her. So I thought that was kind of cool. Anyway, check it out with the commentary. There's a lot of interesting stuff in there. This Casino is a DVD release. I think this came out in '97. The DVD came out in 2006. I'm gonna have to look this up. So I don't know. Anyway, Casino. All right, we'll do these together. Trilogy of Terror 1 and 2. A lot of people probably don't know about Part 2, and until I found it, I didn't either. I don't think this one's streaming. This is a Kino Lorber release, one of my favorite releasing companies, by the way. It says CBS at the bottom there. It was probably a made-for-TV type thing. And you know what? Trilogy of Terror might have been a made-for-TV kind of scary movie. I wasn't alive when it happened. I think it came out in like 75, 74. I feel like it was a made-for-TV thing. But this is fun. One of my favorite horror trilogies. I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I'd go with Creepshow, but this is a really good one, and it's probably best known for this little, cannibal trolley looking guy. There's three different shorts. I think two of them star Karen Black. Maybe all three. If they style her hair differently in them to make her play a different character, and they did the same thing in part two with Lisette Anthony. You know, she played different characters, and I kind of like that. Like that's kind of a cool thing. Like for a trilogy, maybe I might want to do something one day with an actress ever play, different parts. Um, these are fun. If you've never seen Trilogy Terror 1 and 2, check them out. They're available in physical. This one's streaming. I think it might even be on Tubi. First one's better, but not that I didn't enjoy the second one. Second one was made in the 90s, which, I'm really familiar with the 90s. So I like the hairstyles, the clothes, just the architecture of things. That's always interesting to me when I watch movies. Just, the backgrounds, not necessarily the actors. I look at everything. So anyway, Trilogy of Terror, check them out. Fun horror trilogies. I didn't stop there. So this is a Forber. You got Dolores Claiborne, Dreamcatcher, Creepshow, and Cat's Eye. So I didn't watch Creepshow. Obviously, that's a horror trilogy. I've seen it so many times. I mean, it's great. I wasn't in the mood for it. If you've never seen it, check out Creepshow. I mean, it's probably my favorite. My favorite skit, I guess you would call it, in Creepshow would be the Ted Danson, Leslie Nielsen one, the kind of murder mystery type thing. I've always really liked that one. Part two, I'd probably go with The Raft. Part three, and then the series wasn't bad. It's on Shudder. But anyway, I didn't watch Creepshow, so we won't say on that. What I did watch, though, is Cat's Eye. So Cat's Eye, Stephen King, horror anthology. My favorite I think there's three different ones, I believe. Yeah, there's one with the man on the ledge. There's one with another troll-like character. That's usually people's favorite, which I do like a lot. But I prefer the first skit with James Woods. He's trying to quit smoking, and he goes to this quit smoking joint, and they guarantee that it will work. What he doesn't know is how serious these people are about him quitting smoking. So, spoiler alert, in order to get him to quit smoking, they start really messing with this guy's life. They they threaten to kill his wife. They got people watching everywhere. It seems like everywhere he goes, he's trying to sneak a cigarette and people are watching him. They put his wife in this cage that's electrified and they start shocking her and shit. They just really do mean things to him to just kind of distress him and make him just worry about the situation. And he does quit smoking. It works. I mean, I think that's the best way to go. Threaten someone's life if they smoke a cigarette, because basically that's what they are in their own lives. Don't smoke, watch Cat's Eye. Drew Barrymore. And I think, you know what? I think they kind of did the same thing. She plays a couple different characters, and I didn't catch it until this time because they changed her hair. She's just a little kid, and she's in like two, maybe even all three of the skits. So that was really cool. That I was like, oh wow, he's Drew Barrymore, multiple times. I don't know. I've done that in a movie before. Heartbreak Killer. I had an actor play two different roles. So I guess I've done that before. But anyway, check out Cat's Eye if you've never seen it. Well, forgot what sometimes I forget what I watch. Another trilogy or anthology rather. Body Bags. This is, I put this right under Creepshow. This is probably my second favorite. And this is John Carpenter. I wish he did more of these. I think he directed two of the three, if not mistaken. Yes. Toby Hooper directed The Eye. John Carpenter directed Hair and The Gas Station. So of the three, The Gas Station is my favorite. That's the first one that you watch when you see it. And it stars, is it David Carradine? Keith Carradine? John Carradine? I get the Carradines confused. I apologize. There's like 14 million of them. I can't keep up with it. It's the Revenge of the Nerds Carradine. And another, and his actress that he works with, I don't know her name, but I've seen her in a lot of stuff. Oh, I'm not sure. Deborah Harry's in it too. Yeah, Blondie. Roger Corman makes a cameo. But anyway, the first skit, The Gas Station. young college girl gets a job working overnight at a gas station, and it's like this little booth she has to stay in. And she gets in there. One of the Carradine brothers trains her quickly, and then he leaves. And then mischievous things start happening throughout the night, and then it ends up that she ends up fighting for her life, without giving too much away. But that was the best one. It was the goriest. It had the most suspense. I like the one location. There was a cameo by David Naughton, the American Werewolf in London guy. Wes Craven makes a cameo as like this sleazy, I don't know, just this sleazy guy, which was really cool. There's a lot of cameos in this. In the second one, Hair, you see a cameo from what's the special effects guy? KNB. The main one. I can't think of his name. I think he's the K or the B or the N. Anyway, he's got long hair. He does special effects. He did The Walking Dead. I can't think of his name. He's in it for like a second. He's in the hair one because he had long hair. But anyway, Body Bags. All three segments are great. John Carpenter is the horror host. And if you watch with the commentary, he didn't do it because he's like, I'm the best guy for the job. He did it because he was on a budget. And he does that a lot. That's why I started doing his own scores, for Halloween. He's on a budget. I operate the same way. I'll wear multiple hats on a movie because there's just no one else to do the job. You gotta save money, and I'll play a role, I'll do the effects, whatever. John Carpenter, same way, man. Not that it seemed like he was enjoying playing his role too. He's this morgue attendant, and I mean he looks dead, and they did a really good job on his makeup. Whoever did it probably can be effects. Anyway, that's Body Bags. This is the Blu-ray release from Shout Factory. Let's see the inside. I don't know if it's anything that special. But I think there's some. Oh yeah, here we go. There is some nice. There's some stills from the movie, and then we got the boom. But I enjoy this one. I revisit this. I wouldn't say every year, but every couple years, and I introduce friends to it that have never seen it. I really like it a lot. So that is Body Bags. Okay, moving on. All right. So this is another Forber. I didn't watch all these. Not that they're not all great, but I did watch Serpent and a Rainbow. So Serpent and a Rainbow is a Wes Craven movie. Came out, I want to say mid-80s. I'm going to say 85. 87. I saw this in the theater with my parents. I didn't even know what was going on. My parents used to take me to movies I probably shouldn't have been watching it. Seemed like in the 80s, that's the way it was. You took your kids to the movies because they wanted to see what they wanted to see. And if it was rated R, the censorship was your dad or mom. For me, it was my dad. He would cover your eyes when, some nudity or something scary came on the screen. And that's just how it was. I don't know how other people grew up, but that's how it was for me. So I'm sure my dad covered my eyes in several segments in Serpent Rainbow. That movie scared me for years. I mean, watching it now, it's kind of a little corny. It doesn't scare me at all anymore. It's a good movie, though, and that's why I watched it. Paul Winfield, Bill Pullman. It's basically about Santeria. It starts off in Haiti, which I think that's a big thing down there, and it's almost like they using certain mind-altering chemicals. They put people in a trance, and they kind of zombify them and make them do things they don't want to do, and that's basically what the movie's about. And Bill Pullman is kind of knee deep in that shit and trying to figure it all out. But Wes Craven, kind of a different movie for Wes Craven too. I mean, he bounced around in the horror industry. He didn't just make one type of movie. I know he's most known for Nightmare on Elm Street, but I mean, he did a lot of stuff. As the Serpent and Rainbow was a really good one. I don't think that one gets talked about enough, as far as his catalog. So check it out, Serpent and Rainbow. I'm sure there's a separate DVD or Blu-ray release, but this little 4-pack's cool, man. I was big into getting these when I was really buying a lot of stuff. I mean, because it's a good way to get movies. I mean, I got Funhouse, I got a separate one. Phantasm 2, I had a separate one. This is the only copy of I have. Very 70s snake movie. Probably be a good double feature with Stanley. So anyway, check those out. Oh, so Phantasm 2. I did watch Phantasm 2, but we're going to talk about that right now because I watched it like this. So you're probably saying, Sean, why do you still have the sticker of the movies that you watched on? I like to know what I paid for shit. I don't know. I leave it on. I have a friend that's like, you can't keep that on. I was like, who cares? Because I mean, this is the DVD 5-pack of all the Phantasms, including Phantasm Ravager, and this came out right when Ravager came out. When that was, that was new. That was kind of a thing. 2016 now is when that came out. Damn, time flies. Ravager is probably my least favorite, and I didn't revisit it. I didn't watch all of them. I watched 2, 3, and 4. Not that the first one's not great. I wasn't in the mood for it. So I won't go too deep into the Phantasm movies. If you haven't seen them, they're probably best known for 2 things. Angus Scrimm, the tall man, creepy fucking character. The mortuary caretaker, I guess you want to call him. He doesn't say much. He's kind of has this like lurch aspect to him, and he's just scary. He's like, boy, just the way they almost echo his voice in the movies to make him extra scary. So Phantasm's heavily known for him. And these silver fucking balls, dude. So these balls are like his weapon, basically. And they float around. And they go for your head a lot. They go to your head. So you see these these blades. They stick in your head. And then once they get in your head, this drill comes out. And it drills right in your brain. And this thing starts spitting out blood. I think they do a really good job on that. In part 2, I think there's a scene where they really like splatter. Maybe it's 3. I don't know. I get them confused. But those orbs, rather, they're the star of the show, man. You almost watch the movie for that. So of the 5, part 3 is actually my favorite. Part 3 seemed like the campiest. It was just like it had this like cheese factor to it. There was like a child actor in it. Reggie Bannister's love interest was really interesting, and it was kind of funny, and I don't know. And you know what? I think it was the first one I ever saw. For some reason, Phantasm 3 was the first one I ever saw. It was, I was playing on cable back in the day when I was a teenager, and that's how I got introduced to them a lot. I have a few series where it's like that, and then that one becomes my favorite. Nightmare on Elm Street. First one I ever saw was part 2, which oddly enough is my favorite. I know some people want to shoot me when I say that. I don't know. I like part 2. It's different. It's weird. Probably the weirdest one of those. But I like part 3, Phantasm 3. Check them all out, though. They're all fun. Ravager. But really cool series, man. R.I.P. Angus Scrimm. And, that's all I got to say about that. Phantasm. Okay. All right. I guess I watched a lot of 1 and 2s. So here we go. The Curse and The Curse 2. So The Curse 2 is not streaming. I tried to find that, which is a shame. The Curse 1 is. I prefer part 2. So I didn't watch these in the 80s. I remember the DVD, or I'm sorry, the VHS cover art back in the day. And it was definitely cool. I'm pretty sure that's the original cover art for both of them. But it's one that I missed. It didn't attract me. I don't watch these until later in life. When I bought this Blu-ray, which was released in 2016. I guess I bought a lot of stuff in 2016. So The Curse 1, it's basically about this family. They're farmers. Tweedledweeten is one of the children. It's a mom, a dad, brother, and 2 brothers. And they're farmers. They're growing apples. They're growing all kinds of fruits and vegetables. They mainly concentrate on apples, though. So this meteorite, I guess, flies into their fucking farm, and it just fucks everything up. It curses it. So all the food becomes contaminated. Like worms start growing out of it. The water becomes contaminated, and then when they spray the water on the fruit, it fucks it all up. So Will Wheaton has like a sixth sense for this. So he avoids the food and the water. He doesn't eat it, and his whole family starts eating all this food, and they become like infected. It changes their behavior, and it messes their faces up, and it curses them. It's a really good movie. It's a fun movie. There's decent gore, good acting. there's a few movies like that where it's like on a farm, where it's I kind of like that, kind of different. But what I really prefer though is The Curse 2, and I'll tell you why. A, it's got Jill Schoelen in it. She's my favorite scream queen from the '80s. And this one's a little campier, a little goofier. And one thing I don't approve of that they did, because I'm big on this. There's animal cruelty in it, but it's to snakes. So I don't like snakes. I don't like them. With that being said, I would never hurt a snake. I'm big on not hurting animals. So in this movie, there's this scene. It's Jill Schoelen and her boyfriend in the movie, not her real boyfriend, but the actor. They're traveling cross country to California, I believe. They're in a Jeep Cherokee, and camera pans off, and you see all these snakes on the ground and on a fence, and they're in like a desert. And you see this Jeep Cherokee just run over. I mean, I'm talking, it must have been 1,000 fucking snakes. And as they're driving over, they're flying up in the air, 4 or 5 feet, and blood splattering. And, I was like, I always thought it was fake or whatever, in that particular scene. So Jill Schoelen, she signed this, by the way. And she wrote, "The snakes were real." That's how I found out, because I talked to her about that movie, which it's probably not a movie she talked about too much. I mean, I'm sure people asked about The Stepfather and Phantom of the Opera and some of her more well-known stuff. Curse 2 is probably not one of her more talked about ones. So I talked with her a while about it. Not that it's my favorite movie with her, but I do like it a lot. And I asked her about that snake scene, and she said, yes, the snakes were real. I don't know that they probably had stunt actors drive over them. In the 80s, man, things were just different. You could get away with shit like that, and it's sad and gross. And the scene looks so real because it is. So when you see that scene, just know that the snakes are real. But anyway, quick synopsis: what eventually happens is her boyfriend gets bit by this mutant snake, not those snakes that they ran over. They get a flat tire because of the snake. He goes to the gas station, gets bit by this weird snake, and then he starts morphing into a snake, kind of like Cobra Commander in the G.I. Joe movie. Like, he starts becoming a snake. And I guess that's the curse of that movie. And then over time, he just slowly keeps becoming more snake. And then, Jill's like, I guess just shocked and surprised and just trying to get her boyfriend back. And then at the end of the movie, she ends up in this big muddy pit. I can't even remember how we got to that point, but it was just cool seeing Jill Schoelen in a muddy pit trying to escape. I'm sure she hated shooting that shit. I don't know what she got paid on this, but it probably wasn't enough. Get this double feature, man. Curse 1 and 2, Shout Factory release, 2016. Hopefully it's not out of print. You can watch the first one streaming too. I don't know. There's a part 3 as well. I think I've seen it once, but I remember not loving it. I do need to seek it out. I think that might have a separate Blu or DVD release. There might even be a part 4. I don't know. They're fun. Check out the Curse movies. Okay. What's next? All right, here's a 10-pack. I found out about this a while ago. I think that's there's a few compilations like this. I guess that's not the biggest one. I got one that's got like 20 or 30 of them. It's multi-disc. This one's multi-disc too. You got, I guess it's 2 discs. 3. One has 4 movies, one has 3 movies, and one has 3 movies. So I didn't watch all these. You got Cloak and Dagger, one of my favorites. The Wizard, Cop and a Half, King Ralph, Matinee, The Borrowers, Simple Wish, Ed, Ghost Dad, Sergeant Boko. I watched 2 movies off of this. I watched Matinee and The Wizard. Let's start with The Wizard. So The Wizard was a popular movie, late 80s, Fred Savage. It's got one of the Bridges brothers. Beau Bridges plays the dad. And it's basically about this. Fred's the older brother, and he's got a younger brother, and his younger brother's kind of traumatized in a way. And Fred's trying to help him out. He's trying to find out what he needs. He keeps saying, California. So they're trying to get to California for some reason. Spoiler alert. The reason they're trying to go to California is Fred's younger brother, I guess he had a twin sister, and she passed away, and he's got this lunchbox he's carrying with him. It's got a bunch of pictures and some of her favorite toys in it. And it was at this dinosaur world that he used to visit, and he wanted to leave it there, for her. That's the whole premise. It's kind of sad, and I think that's why I don't revisit that one too much. It's like a kid's drama, and it's just sad, It's just kind of a downer. But the real story that they're trying to tell is a big marketing scam for the Power Glove for Nintendo. So, there's Power Glove cameos, a lot of Nintendo stuff going on. They must have paid a lot of money to get in this movie. And it introduces Super Mario Brothers 3. They're trying to go to this video game contest because Fred needs money, or their family needs money, and then their little brother's like a wizard. I think he may have maybe been on a spectrum a little bit, and they don't really. Back then, that kind of stuff went undiagnosed. And they take him this contest. Of course, he beats Super Mario Brothers 3, or gets the highest score rather. And I think that's the first time like kids saw that game, and it probably sold a lot of copies. Like, Mom, I need Super Mario Brothers 3. The movie, like I said, is like one big marketing scheme for Super Mario Brothers 3, and it worked. I remember playing that game back in the day. Was it because I saw the wizard? I don't know. I like Mario Brothers anyway. But fun movie. A little depressing though. Anyway, Matinee. So Matinee. It's kind of out of focus. John Goodman in a Joe Dante film. I like Joe Dante. I usually like his stuff. John Goodman plays a William Castle type character. I think he is playing William Castle, but in the movie, his name is Lawrence Woolsey. So Lawrence Woolsey and his girlfriend / B-movie actress travel down to Key West during the Cuban Missile Crisis to try to show his new monster movie, Matt. So they show it at this old-timey theater. Well, I mean, it is, it was an older theater. This movie, it was set in the early 60s, I believe, something like that, in Key West, of all places. So they get there, they set the theater up, and he's trying to do like, I don't want to call it splatter vision, but he's got like buzzers in the seats. He's trying to really give an experience to the people that watch this movie. He posts up at the theater with some of his actors, and they're posing as like Christian Bible thumpers saying, "Don't watch this movie. It's bad for your children." Da, da, da. So this young boy finds out that he's like a horror movie buff. I think it's probably Joe Dante as a kid playing the character. I think that's how it was written. And he finds out that these two guys are posing as these Bible thumpers. And he calls out Lawrence Woolsey. And then Lawrence Woolsey kind of befriends him. And throughout the movie, they start, chit-chatting. They have a lot of scenes together. And keep in mind, this is all during the Cuban Missile Crisis. So everyone's kind of on edge. Like, we're going to get bombed and blah, blah, blah. So the movie theater manager is Robert Picardo, one of my favorite actors, by the way. He's got this bunker in the theater because he's all paranoid and shit. So the young boy that's friends with Lawrence Woolsey, he ends up going into this bunker with this girl he's got the hots for, and they get trapped in the bunker. And Robert Picardo is pissed off because he's like, "That's my bunker. I'm supposed to be in there." And they kind of fucked up a little bit, because they talk about the bunker being in the basement, and there's a lot of basement talk. There are no basements in Florida, guys, and Key West especially. You're even you are at sea level. So even as a kid, I didn't notice that most people don't know about that. It seems like everyone and their mother has a basement except for people in Florida. So I don't think most people don't think about that. So that's kind of a flaw in the movie, but it didn't bother. It didn't make me like it any less. And I actually didn't catch it until this time. I'm like, wait a second, this can't happen. The whole movie basically takes place at the movie theater, which is really cool. And there's this actor in the movie, and he's wearing like the mat suit, and he comes out and he scares all the people. And this guy's he's a criminal, and his girlfriend's like a high school girlfriend. He's like a young college guy, but he's like a criminal. And he ends up going too far, and he screws up the buzz-o-vision, and the theater starts fucking shaking, and everyone thinks that the bombs have dropped, but really it's this kid screwing with the pyrotechnics and whatever. So anyway, fun movie. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Joe Dante movie, but it's up there, man. It's a fun one. I'd like to see more movies like that. There's one called Midnight Movie that takes place in a movie theater. I think Demons takes place in a movie theater. There's a few movies like that, but Matinee is probably my favorite one for a movie like that. Check it out. Joe Dante, John Goodman, can't go wrong. And that's Matinee. All right. Last but not least, I meant to do this when I was doing Serpent and Rainbow. Similar. The Believers with Martin Sheen. Great movie. Santeria, once again. Uh, Spoiler alert, movie starts out, Martin Sheen, his wife, and his child are living in this apartment in New York, I believe. And mother dies, gets electrocuted to death. And they really show it to him. It's kind of fucked up. And then strange things start happening to Martin and his son. And I believe his son is Brian Bonsall, which is the little kid from Family Ties. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that. I know that. And that little kid, he's also in Blank Check and a couple things. Like, he's kind of recognizable around that time. Anyway, they want Martin's son. They want this guy. They want his blood. All the, his coworkers, his friends, everyone's like plotted against him to take his child and bring him into the Santeria circle. And then by the end of the movie, Martin is, he's like in a trance, and then he's part of the sacrifice, but I think he's kind of faking it. So him and his buddy team up, which his buddy is, I think what's in Robert Masur. I hope I'm saying that guy's name right. He's in The Thing. Bearded guy. Him and his buddy team up to try to get his son back without getting hypnotized. And well, I don't want to give too much away, but that's what happens. Martin, it's basically a battle for his son type movie, with a little Santeria thrown in. Great movie, very suspenseful. Who directed this? This is directed by John Schlesinger. I'm familiar with that name. I don't know his catalog. I've seen his name sprawl across a couple movies. This one's a lot of fun, man. It was spooky. The Santeria stuff, that kind of creeps me out. And this was made in 1987. I would guess a little later. Martin Sheen, can't go wrong. He's always great and everything. I think my favorite movie with him, though, I'd probably go Apocalypse Now. He's alive. Acting family. Special shout out to Joe Estevez, which probably gets the least amount of credit of the Sheen family. Joe Estevez is a lot of fun. I would like to see Joe Estevez in Believers 2. Maybe I'll make it, that should happen, Anyway, well, that's all I got this week. It looks like Jesse. You know what? Did I even mention Karen Black, Jesse, in Trilogy of Terror? Yeah, Karen Black's in that shit. I don't know why. I don't even think I talked about it. Yes, Karen Black for the win. Gator Blade for life, Stephen King. Drayton Wright said, ever watch short sci-fi films? I don't quite know how to answer that, Drayton. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, guys, if you already haven't, I'm running a campaign right now for Fred Olin Ray's Jacko Part 2. It's going to be shot here in the Tampa area, which is really cool. I'm a producer on the movie. I'm helping a lot with just a little bit of everything. First one came out 30 years ago. Fred and I, we've got a lot of things planned. Sushi is going to be a part of it, which is really cool, to have someone from my gang part of the movie. I'm working on a few other people. I can't disclose anything yet, but should be a good time. And check out the campaign. It's on Indiegogo. I think there's about 10 days left. And spoiler alert, I'm releasing a new perk today. I'm actually probably going to work on that right after this. So check it out. Catch me next week for Volume 14. I don't know what I'm going to watch. It's going to be totally random like it always is. And we'll see you next week.